I'll try not to unmute during the countdown this time. Oh, I failed.
Failure, my friend, failure.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 225. And apparently, we're not muting during the countdown anymore. I didn't know that, but Patrick has struck again for the second week in a row by pronouncing he was going to be quiet. So we can see where that went. But welcome, everyone. Welcome. We've got, what is it now? The 20th of October, 2021. Show number 225. And this week, we're going to talk a little bit about the quarter that just wrapped up this evening. There was the earnings call that happened. Joining us, as always, Mr. Kacey Green from the DC area. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing quite well. We've got a full house today in the chat room. First in was 010, and then we had let's see, Kenny Armour and Hockey Day, not in that order, and then let's see where to go. Hockey Day gave us all the weather, so we don't have to do it ourselves.
Nice.
Yes. But it's been a blast. I finally got done some videos for the first time in months. So, like before Tesla updated again on me. So
nice. Get ahead of the curve.
Exactly.
Very good. Very good. And also joining us, Mr. Patrick Connor from the West Coast. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. Hello, Tesla Nation. If you miss any part of the show, you can just look over my shoulder and see it like on a 3-second delay. Going super meta. So welcome to our collective journey towards a future free from fossil fuels. Getting it in right off the top.
Gets it out early, out front.
That way we don't forget.
That's right. Yep.
Well, our first story of the evening is, of course, the quarter 3 call, the earnings call that just ended. I will note a little bit early, and there may be a reason for that. And Patrick is going to give us the news. What's happening?
That is right. So they released their shareholder newsletter, and then they had the call. And as promised, Elon Musk was not there, which might be partly why they finished a little early.
Bingo.
But his tangents are very entertaining, so it's too bad. So I'll read a little bit from the newsletter and then try to summarize an entire hour's call in 5 minutes. We'll see how far I get. And Mark, feel free to cut me off at any time.
You got 10 minutes, by the way, so you can double your length.
I'll try. Yeah, cool. I can. Yeah. So operating cash flow minus capex was $1.3 billion just in Q3. So their net debt and finance lease repayments of $1.5 billion in Q3. So they paid off $1.5 billion in debt. Now, with that, their cash and cash equivalents in the bank is only down $164 million. So paid off $1.5 billion and still have about the same amount of money in the bank. That is awesome. And if they don't have debt, then it's less interest, and that means they can put their money toward the real things we want, right? Their products, their growth, and not paying bankers interest. Record quarter in many ways. So it was their best ever net income, best operating profit, and gross margin. So additionally, they reached an operating margin of 14.6, exceeding their guidance, which they said they expected to be in the low teens now. So they're above that. This is awesome. And the good news just keeps coming. They've achieved this while they have decreased their average selling price by 6% year over year. And a lot of that is the mix of vehicles they're selling has changed. They're selling a lot more 3s and Ys than they are S's and X's, especially during Q3, because those have been coming out with their new versions, and they weren't high volume. So the fact that they can sell cheaper cars and do it profitably, that is good news for all of us. One thing that I thought was interesting is they talked about how there's a structural shift in society And some people have called this the awakening, or if you're even worse, the awakening. And they have said that that's even taken Tesla by surprise, that they are not able to produce enough vehicles. There's more demand. They are supply constrained, and the backlogs are continuing to grow. They're doing everything they can. They're pushing their factories as hard as they can, their suppliers as hard as they can, and the backlogs continue to grow. Now, we know, because we've been betting on it, which factory is going to open first. But certainly over the next year, they're going to go from having primarily 2 factories to 4 factories. So that will help with all of this. And it's just great news for everybody. Hey, JT. So let's see, where else was I? Fremont factories produced more cars in the last 12 months than any other calendar year. And they believe that they have room to continue to improve that. And of course, we just talked about the other factories ramping. And this is all while they've had semiconductor shortages, congestion at ports, rolling blackouts. All of these things have shut down or impacted their factories, prevented them from running at full speed, and they're still getting great results. That's just their tenacity, the engineers they have, the problem-solving capabilities they have up and down their organization, their flexibility, their global supply chains and ingenuity they have there. All great news. Great for the mission that we all want to see achieved. Okay, so that was the newsletter. So on to the call. So they are ending Q3 at a run rate that is greater than 1 million cars annually. So that means next year, even if they just continued at the rate they're at right now, they would make 1 million vehicles. And we know they're going to grow the 2 factories they have and start ramping up the 2 more factories coming online. So next year, what's it going to be? I don't know, 1,400,000, 1,500,000. Who knows? We'll have to start that betting pool in January.
Exactly.
I think Kacey's
with 400,000 for Shanghai, 450,000 plus, and 500,000 for Fremont. I think 1 million is not unreasonable. But then you've got 2 more factories opening up sometime that year, right, for sales.
Yeah, definitely. 2022 is going to be a big year for Tesla, that's for sure. So there were a lot of little things that came out during this call, and they're kind of scattered, so I'll just go through them in the order they popped up in the meeting. 4680, they are currently doing crash tests with these cells in vehicles, and so far so good. They expect that to all be done by the end of this year, and we know that Tesla safety is one of their number 1 priorities. And so even if they have high output of batteries, 98% yields or whatever, if they have problems in a vehicle crash, they're going to continue to refine it and make it better. So I think Drew's comment was there are still unknown unknowns, but everything's looking good so far. So one of the questions was about the Model Next, as we like to call it here, and I thought
I also like that they didn't use that Model 2.
Yeah, right.
They finally listened to Elon.
That's right. Yes, he said, "Don't call it that. It's not that." So the answer was that there are no solid plans yet. They are cell constrained. They already have products that they need to get out, like the Cybertruck. So they're not even thinking about Model Next at this point, which is they need to focus on the things they've already committed to. So I was happy to hear that. Speaking of the Cybertruck, they confirmed that it will have rear wheel steering, which we've heard that rumor, and now it's confirmed by Tesla that is their plan of record. Cool feature that I don't know if you'll have to have the dual or tri-motor to get it, or if it'll be in all of them, but we'll see. When will Tesla hit 20 million units? That was the next question. Model 3 and Y are on track to be, or already are, the best-selling vehicles in their segments. So one of the questions was, for Tesla to hit this, they're going to have far more vehicles. And the question was, well, that might be true for other vehicle manufacturers, and it could also be true for us, but if you're selling 3 or 4 of the best-selling vehicles, maybe you can get there without it. But of course, they are going to be putting out new vehicles, as we just talked about. So, and when will they get there? Well, they plan on growing 50% annually. So you can do the math from about a million this year to when does that hit 20 million? And, I don't expect it in 2023, but it will get there. Next comment. Okay, so here's one that Twitter's been all abuzz about. The FSD, some government regulators are attacking it. And I loved this response of the truth will set us free. Tesla's going to be transparent with their data. They make safe vehicles, and they have transparency in this data of what are the results when people are using it, what are the results when people are not using it. And that alone is going to be what allows this to continue. So that was good to hear. Next was service and supercharger waits are too long. So two-part question there. Service, the miles driven has ramped up faster after the COVID dip than they expected. And they also think that people have waited for things that needed service that they didn't want to go out of their house because of COVID, that now those are all coming in kind of lumped together. So it's a little bit of a log jam there. But they have grown their service sites by 35% and their mobile fleet by 40%. The best service is no service. That's the other thing they're doing, is they're trying to make their vehicles more reliable so that you don't even have to call service. So every service ticket, they're looking, okay, how did we get to this point that it needs this service, and how could we have prevented that upstream? Let's try to go put those measures in place. Right. Superchargers. Tesla monitors the wait times at all of their locations. The average congestion has been down over the last 18 months. They have doubled the number of supercharger stations that they have out there over the last year, and they plan to triple it over the next 2 years. So, I mean, think about how many are out there right now. 3 times more are coming. So, that's awesome. Let's see. Oh, the other things they do, when they know there are going to be areas of congestion, or they've seen a history of congestion and they can't get to it any quickly, they have mobile stations that they can put out, mobile superchargers. And we've seen this during the holidays and during congestion points. They also are now doing off-peak pricing in these highly congested areas. That is to try to spread the load out during the day. And then the other thing they're doing is they're increasing the speed that their vehicles can charge at. That makes a better experience for you when you're on the road during a road trip. And it also means that you clear that spot out and someone else can use it quicker. So all those things they're doing what they can to help make it better. Their next was a question about FSD and how has service impacted subscription. Sorry, how has subscription impacted the take rate? This I thought was interesting. They said that the initial take rate is unchanged. So the people who are buying it and paying for it, that number percentage-wise is about the same. And that's because if you do that, you can roll it into your financing, or it's just a better price long-term to not make monthly payments on it if you just buy it outright. But they have seen is that people who didn't buy it initially are now trying it. So this effectively means that they have a higher take rate for full self-driving by offering this. And that's good news. I was worried when they offered subscription that they weren't going to continue to offer it outright, and they are, which is awesome. They did mention that they are considering future price changes. And that one had me worried, because I don't plan on buying another Tesla until 2025. And I hope the price is not $100,000 for just FSD then.
Yeah, $25,000 car, $100,000 FSD.
One of the other things they mentioned in there is that in the past, Tesla has been primarily a vehicle company with a little bit of software revenue. They see that changing significantly over time, and that instead they are a service and software company that sells their hardware platform for those to run on, which I thought was an interesting mindset change.
Sounds like Apple.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Well,
that's what. Yes,
more like Microsoft, but yeah,
they didn't say that, but yeah, it was definitely. And Apple, if they're selling it just for themselves, and Microsoft, if they're selling it for, Dell and HP and others also, of whatever those vehicle equivalents would be. There was a question about FSD transferability. And we've heard this question before. We've talked about this one on the show before. Zach Kirkhorn, the CFO, said, well, we don't have it directly, but we do sort of have it in that if you trade in your vehicle to Tesla and it has FSD capabilities, you get credit for that. And then you can use that credit to buy it on your next vehicle or not. That's up to you. And so you are getting your value back out of it if you do a trade in to Tesla. And of course, if you're selling it privately, then you can price that in, and that's up to you. So that's
I'd like to see them actually break that out on the quotes and on the paperwork, because right now we're taking their word for it, and Russell needs to come in with an allegedly right here.
Yes, it would be cool.
We wouldn't keep asking it if we felt it was fair. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If they literally showed you how much you're getting for that, exactly what dollar amount, that would be cool. The next question was about insurance, and I thought this one was really fascinating. They talked about how insurance wasn't something like that was part of their mission. Their mission is to accelerate the advent of electric vehicles, right? And to get people to drive EVs. One of the things that they were hearing from customers is that they are not able to afford the insurance. The insurance rates were significantly higher for Tesla vehicles in some areas with some providers. And so that sort of forced Tesla to get into this. They said that they would work really hard to get $5 or $10 in parts or manufacturing reduction out of a vehicle, but then someone might be paying an extra $10 or $30 a month in insurance. And so that if you want to look at the overall ownership experience, Tesla had to get into this because that's what it takes to get people to buy your vehicles, is that they have to be affordable. And that includes its fueling and its maintenance and its insurance. That's a significant factor. And so they talked about how traditionally insurance is sold based on demographics. What's your zip code? What's your income? What's your age? What's your marital status? And that is the big things that the insurance companies could get. What's your credit score? Whatever else they look at. Well, Tesla can look at your actual driving, and they've got millions of miles of data collected. They know, okay, here's when a crash happened. Okay, this driver has this sort of history for all the factors that are in your safety score, and they admitted that the current safety score is not perfect. So we've talked about that too, how it's more a measure of the area you drive in than your actual driving. But as far as crashes, collisions go, that is a factor. Where you drive matters as well. So they're looking at how they can mine this data to improve that over time and provide individualized insurance costs. And also then coach you on how to drive better. Now, this is one thing that was interesting. The safety score, they found that people that are opted in and are having their safety scores measured versus the Tesla drivers that haven't, have a 30% lower chance of collision. So that's happening right now.
If you're trying to get FSD Beta.
Yeah. So I don't know how long this is going to last because people are driving on their best behavior and making sure that they don't have a hard braking and close following and taking turns too hard where you could, the back end could lose, whatever. So that was fascinating to me that right now already they're seeing an improvement just based on this score.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Patrick, that covers the majors.
Yep.
Do they have the ability to settle our bet? Is my question to you. What factory between Austin and Berlin does Tesla think is going to open, or did they reveal that?
The answer's on my screen right now.
Yes, Kacey wins. Shanghai.
Shanghai Part 3. They got 2 parts of Shanghai open and the R&D center before either of your guys' factories.
That's true. So they talked about the gigafactories multiple times. One of the things I thought was really cool was for both Berlin and Austin is that they bought far more land than they plan on using. And that allows for expansion in the future. So that was a really cool thing, and that's exactly what they're running into in Fremont right now. I think Elon's quote was they're pressing up against the side of the bowl, right?
Yep.
So they're space constrained, and so they were smart, and this time around they bought in a place where they can continue to expand. The other thing that they said was that they expect that these factories, even if they produce vehicles this year, they do not expect to sell them this year because homologation and crash testing and other things need to happen before
Quality
those
controls.
vehicles can go to customers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they want to get a significant volume of vehicles out ready before they start shipping in any region so that they can schedule their imports from other countries until they're ready to bring those online. So no, they didn't settle the bet. They just said not this year.
Okay. All right. So we're going to have to wait a little bit longer.
Yep.
All right.
Great
Well,
pictures in the letter there. So if you guys want to check those out.
Thank you very much, Patrick. That is a lot of information in a short period of time, and it's and there's more details as well. Certainly, if you wish, you can listen to the call again. It's been recorded, and it is accessible if you just do a quick Google search. But with that, we want to move on to a couple other stories that happened during the week, and the one that I wanted to highlight was about the NHTSA. They're a bit upset with Tesla for what they're saying is basically avoiding a recall by sending out an over-the-air update. And this was kind of shocking because, of course, this really highlights the ability that the NHTSA doesn't really understand how the over-the-air update works. Why would you call in a fleet of vehicles to have something updated if, in fact, you could just send an update out to the computers of those cars or an update to the software of those cars and correct the issue? Similar to what happened earlier in the Model 3 rollout when they made an adjustment to the braking distance of these cars by sending out an update.
Also, why would you do a recall if there was nothing wrong?
Well,
right.
Because with the Model 3,
technically it could be something wrong, but it has been corrected in a quick and efficient manner, as opposed to a recall, which means every owner has to bring the vehicle back to some place to have it adjusted physically.
Well,
yeah, Hockey Day nailed it here.
With the Model 3 brakes, that was an actual recall. They sent out the letters and all the crap, but it was a software update to the fleet. This, as Hockey Day is saying, was every car out there right now will run into the side of cars on the side of the road, except for some Teslas now. Especially the ones with an ADAS. They all have in their manuals, don't use this in conditions X, Y, and Z. Hey, by the way, it's probably going to ignore cars stopped on the side of the road. And the Tesla was no different. It also had it in its manual, but now the manual says, hey, at night, if it sees flashing lights, it will slow down. That way you know why it's slowing down. So I don't see how this was a flaw that needed recalling. Yes, it was undesirable, and it's now better, but it's not something that needed a recall. I mean, because then you got to recall every car out there. Cruise control, no cruise control, drunk driver, straight driver. I mean...
Yeah, I was kind of alluding to that they really don't understand what the options are when it comes to a modern EV. They didn't understand that whether or not this was an actual recallable infraction, and we believe certainly it was not. But the over-the-air update gives Tesla the flexibility to modify the cars in a quick and efficient manner, thereby helping everyone that has the car in a more timely manner. They don't have to take extra time out of their day to do the traditional go to the dealership or the service center and get the car looked at or updated. It's something that I'm not sure if the NHTSA understands that.
Right, like with the Ford Sync, you had to bring it into the dealer for them to stick a USB in to fix your head unit. But you and I both had Gen 1 volts. They would silently, stealthily just beam stuff down over OnStar to our radios if it was something totally within the radio stack.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting, and I think there seems to be a bit of a bias with the NHTSA. We'll have to see as their investigation continues if more of this rhetoric comes out of them. But it is kind of disappointing that they're not picking up on what this ability of this the abilities of this car is when they're investigating it. So I'm thinking that someone's not really paying a lot of attention over there.
Yeah, I like
worse.
Ken's hypothesis that just popped up there.
Yeah. Or even worse, like you got the new ones that are coming out that they're actively hostile to Tesla, and they don't even know what it is they're regulating. They just don't like him.
Yeah, that's even worse. A bias that is there for their own private or lobbyist reasons. It's disappointing to see something like that, and hopefully
Absolutely.
that will be avoided in the future. But we'll have to keep our eye on it, and maybe we'll have to reach out to our representatives if we start to notice that bias becomes stronger or exists in other ways. So
I hope that, like they said on the call today, they just bombard them with facts and truth, and then if they still do the wrong thing, then it'll be obvious that it was not from a good place. Hopefully that's enough.
There was something on Twitter today that was upsetting. They said something. This is why I should stay off social media. But if FSD is taken away, that there's going to be riots in the street worse than January 6th, and that's just ridiculous. That's not the case. The Tesla Nation's not a bunch of idiots that are going to storm the gates. Instead, we're going to use facts. We're going to persuade. We're going to say, here's the data. We're going to contact our representatives. We're going to do things in a civilized manner, not be a bunch of raving lunatics. So we're all part of the Tesla community here. If you see stuff like that, let them know that's not cool. They're not representing. They're not showing the best side of the Tesla community. Don't be an idiot. Please stop.
Also, humor loses a lot of its impact when you put it into text form, so they might not even realize that they are coming
Putting
off.
the laughing emoji
let them know.
Doesn't always cut it.
Yeah, exactly. Another bit of news: the Tesla app has updated again since it's gotten its new look. There's been a couple of updates already per month. And recently, a new version for the iOS package went out. And what it did was, in this case, they discovered that some more widgets were added to the iOS version, which allowed you to do things like unlock the car door, lock the door, honk the horn, that type of thing. These action buttons appeared in the widget that you could, in the medium-sized widget, I believe, or the large widget, depending on how you're looking at it. And that would give you that. But what's even more exciting is that in the code, they discovered references to being able to look at the Tesla cam or Sentry mode aspects of the car. They even discovered screens that could be used in the future to actually show left and right cameras, front-facing camera, so you can get a view of the car, so you know where these images are related to, what camera. So there's all sorts of talk about that hidden code that came with the version, but of course is not activated yet. Some things still have to be added for it to be active, but it's very cool to see that being able to be alerted on your phone when, say, Sentry mode gets activated and be able to see live video, review a clip or save a clip is going to be very cool from the screen of your mobile phone.
Yeah, we've been asking for this since before Sentry mode was a thing, so this is cool to see. You'll need car software version 2020.40, and you'll need phone software version 4.2.0, 420 if you will.
Of course.
There's another new feature that, Kacey, you mentioned to me, that I thought was really cool. So if you have solar and batteries, right now you have to sort of self-manage that in that you can put in your rate and what time it's at peak and off peak. But I mean, I keep this right here all the time because it changes depending on what time of year it is. And you can see there's 2 peaks during part of the year and only 1 peak during the rest of the year. And Tesla software doesn't support the multiple peak thing. But and there's also the list of holidays, and it's not the ones you would always expect. Some of them are weird, where it's off peak all day on these certain holidays, but not other holidays. But now they have this cool feature where I think they support 150 utilities right now, and that list is growing. And if you're at one of those, you just put in your utility, they find it, they show you here's the plans they offer, you select the rate plan that you're on, and boom, they take care of all of that. And that's great because the dual peak thing starts here in November 1st. So I need that app before November 1st so that it can just all automatically happen for me.
That's right.
Very cool. Yeah. Being able to track that based on your utility is fantastic.
Right.
Another story of interest, Kacey, I'm going to bring this one to you early.
Okay.
You had talked a little bit about what's happening in Las Vegas.
Yes, I did. Wow.
What happens in Vegas stays underground.
All right, so I've got the text. Now let me bring up the screen. This one was exciting because we'd been speaking for a while now about the boring loop in Las Vegas. Well, during the earnings call, Elon was busy tweeting, as usual. The Vegas loop is expanding. 29 miles now and 51 stations, up from, was it 2 miles? And 3 stations?
Yep.
Thanks to the Clark County team for the great partnership. Clark County gave us a map, so let's click into their tweet and look at their picture.
Are you saying that he couldn't stand not being the center of attention for an hour?
So in yellow is the existing station, the Las Vegas Convention Center, and in blue is the expansion.
Oh my, that is huge. That's not just a little add-on. That's massive.
And then each of the dots is a station. You've got, for example, the Thomas Mack Center, Slotzilla, the Mandalay Bay, and so, as usual, there were a bunch of folks on there talking about, oh, well, why not a train? Well, the train has to stop, even if only one person's getting off. And the ability of this system is that somebody can go past you, and that's pretty cool. Or if you're getting on down here, you don't have to take every stop on the way to here. You can just go straight there. And yeah.
It's going to be interesting that we look at the small Vegas loop as it sits with 3 stops and 2 miles. We've got 30 cars in that loop.
Right.
I can look at this. So we've grown to 29 miles. So that's certainly a magnitude of 15. So just base that on the number of cars, 30 times 15 is probably a rough estimate as to the number of vehicles that will be operating in this new expanded 29 miles of underground tunnels. But very cool to see that Vegas has bought into this completely. It looks like so. There was a unanimous vote to move ahead, and Clark County is saying this is what they want their next transportation system to be. And I'm very encouraged to see that little blue offshoot into McLaren Airport. So that's going to be a big plus. And I'm surprised that got by the taxi commission of Las Vegas. But that is a big plus, having some airport access to and from.
The other bonus to all of this is, say this section has a seasonality to it, but the airport is year-round. You don't have to spend any time going this way when that's not your place.
Right.
And you can go straight to the airport every time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hats off. So we're going to be able to see a lot more boring happening through the desert. So that's
Yes.
going to be fun to see as stations start to come online. And as those videos start to come out of them tunneling and arriving at different stations, we're going to be able to see, I'm sure, a lot of that, because the news media is going to be all over this, I'm sure, after seeing the first 2 miles actually complete. I'm sure they're going to be all over this expansion.
Yeah, I've heard Vegas called a lot of things, but boring is not one of them. Until now.
Indeed.
On to some supercharger news. Kettleman City, one of the stops between, of course, San Francisco and not Las Vegas, but Los Angeles, has, of course, was one of the largest superchargers built in the United States, in North America. And recently, an expansion has been taking place at that particular supercharger. It has now jumped to get this 96 stalls. And now going to be the number at Kettleman City, more than doubling what was there previously. So this is kind of amazing. I understand that is a huge corridor, the I-5 corridor, traveling between San Francisco and Los Angeles. But just the number of stops that they've put on that I-5 recently, like separate supercharger sites, and then expanding Kettleman City to 96 stalls, that is remarkable. It's
like 95 is the same. Just stops everywhere.
Yeah, like it's an insane amount at one particular site. But as they mentioned in Patrick's walkthrough of the earnings call, they talked about superchargers being monitored for how many minutes people are plugged in, what the lineup is, how they're directing and redirecting cars based on busy or non-busy superchargers. So this is all part of their plan to push out a more. Oh, there's a picture of who's that? That's Patrick.
That's me at Kettleman City.
At Kettleman City. Okay.
There you go. Yep,
now, Patrick, when you go to California, do you always travel with the Tesla T on your shoulder?
Yes, I want to make sure I represent, and I gotta leave it hanging out the window when
just kind of looks like it's just hanging on his shoulder there. But that's great. So Kettleman has increased in size dramatically, and that is very cool.
They couldn't find 4 more parking spaces?
Yeah, they couldn't have made it 100? Like, come on. You're so close. You're so close. But another bit of information about the superchargers is Elon got, I don't know if he got tweeted at directly. I think he did. He got tweeted at directly where someone asked him, hey, I'm at a certain supercharger. I don't have any access to Wi-Fi. We should have the ability to have Wi-Fi at these superchargers. And of course, Elon responded back and reconfirmed that, yes, all superchargers will have Wi-Fi at some point in the future. They are planning on having every supercharger with Wi-Fi access to Tesla customers. How it's going to be there, we don't know. There's a lot of speculation that Starlink will probably be employed
to the internet.
Yeah,
exactly.
There's certainly a number of ways that it can be connected, and of course, some currently businesses that are along the supercharger routes, they are participating and allowing access to Wi-Fi at some of these stops, and it's just good to see that Elon hasn't forgot about it. They're planning on continuing to roll out Wi-Fi to all superchargers at some point. So that was good to hear again.
Yeah, the cool thing is they could do that just like at Kettleman City. When you pull up there, they have a little coffee bar area, and on your screen it pops up the code to get into that building. And so they have some intelligence there. They could do the same thing with the Wi-Fi password. When you're in your vehicle, they tell you what it is, so that way they could change it daily. So, someone who walks by there or lives there who's not a Tesla owner can't steal their Wi-Fi, but everybody who pulls up legitimately could actually find out what it is.
They could also do like the cars do right now with Tesla service. When you get there, it just connects.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the car should automatically connect, and it would be cool if the car just provided a little hotspot for everybody in the car.
Right. Or your app, like, hey, you've got so many devices with the app, they just automatically connect to as well, just like the phone, the cars.
Bingo. Yep, that would work very nicely.
Most owners are going to have that on their phone already, and that makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Maybe your kid's tablet, you have to put in a password or something. But
well, there are a couple of people who actually trust the kids to change the music. I don't know that I would do that, but I've seen it done.
Kids have terrible taste in music. Don't do that.
They do.
Don't touch that. Don't touch
I was a kid
now.
once. I know.
I wanted to touch a little bit upon FSD Beta, and of course, Kacey was our perfect score getter amongst the group, and wanted to. It's been now, Kacey, over a week that you've had this, and just wanted to touch a little bit upon your experience over the past week. Have you seen any changes? Have you been able to test out a little bit more? What are some of your impressions after having it for over a week?
So I just started adding up how many miles I've driven on FSD, and I came to 549.06 before I got put on the spot. So at least 550 miles on FSD that I know of. And it's been an experience. The other day, it stopped for pedestrian in the crosswalk, waited for them to cross, and then continued about its way. I had my first successful traffic circle on Sunday.
Those can be tricky.
They can be, because in Delaware, they were... I didn't have any successful ones. They were all wrong in different ways. And I had another experience where it took over for Navigate on Autopilot when it kicked out, but another one where it respected Navigate on Autopilot, and then I just was kicked into just auto steer. But it highlighted my screen the way my AP1 car did, with the lane was blue, and the only difference was you could actually see all the cars around, which was super weird. And it's been a blast. I mean, it doesn't get everything right, but the stuff it does get right is incredible. And
one question we have received a couple times is, after you get admitted to the FSD program, does your safety score go away?
It goes away from the app, but if you've got something that can read the API, or if you read the API manually, you can still see your safety score. And so I'm down to a 99. I've got another 800 miles to go to get back to 100, just from correcting FSD. Okay. And Derek's asking, is a traffic circle the same as a roundabout? They are very close to each other, but they're not exactly the same. It's a matter of implementation.
Great Cheddar Explains. It talks about the difference between them and why they're different. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, as far as us lay people, they're functionally the same thing. But as the video says, they're not the same thing.
It's kind of interesting that like the safety score does go away unless you have like a third party ability to look at it through another app.
Or Tesla Texas Insurance.
But is there interesting that I wanted to see, and we'll keep track of this certainly for the audience as Kacey has the ability to read it, but it'll be interesting to see that if his score does go down somewhat, which is expected, I would believe, because there have been particular instances where you have seen it gone awry. You don't want it to do something, or we saw that video from you last week where it crossed a number of lanes of traffic to make a right-hand turn when, based on the audio that you were talking on the video, you certainly were not expecting that to happen.
Correct.
So that was entertaining to watch from my comfy seat at home, but I'm sure it was a little bit of white knuckling on your end.
Do you know why I pulled you over? You look drunk.
No, officer, really, it's my car.
It's just my car. It's a stupid driver.
My car is a nervous teenager driving. But don't worry, I'm supervising.
It continues to break traffic rules and norms, and then Sunday also we had a case where I ended up running a red light. There was a Volkswagen that was pushing me, and the light turned yellow, and there was no way for me to move back. The light had changed, and I was already blocking traffic, so I had to vacate the intersection. And then the daggum VW came from off the stop bar where he was blocking me and followed me through. Like, the light had been stale red by the time he came through.
Oh, man.
Right.
Oh man,
Yes.
terrible.
It was.
Yeah, having to. It's bad enough that the AI system is trying to figure out how to drive. Now you've also got to figure out how to deal with other idiot drivers around you.
Yeah, I've been beeped at 4 times when it's trying to decide if the lane is clear or not, and I don't blame it for trying to decide because 3 of the instances I wasn't ready to go, and so I was very happy that the computer also was not comfortable with going.
Right, there should be no surprises.
Yes, and
a side note, just you put that message up about Kelly Snyder asking if her Tesla's here yet. Congratulations go out to Kelly and Ryden Snyder, who actually ordered a Model 3, and it's on its way, but it's going to be delayed. As we've heard, there's a lot of people that have done ordering. As Patrick mentioned in the earnings call, Tesla cannot keep up with the amount of orders that are going in. So congratulations, Kelly. It's going to be a little bit of wait, but trust me, from all 3 of us, you are going to love it once it arrives. So you may have a bit of a wait, but trust us that it's something that is worth the wait.
Yeah, and when they call you
keep
for
your paper
pickup,
copy
don't
of the
delay.
Fix-It list.
Yeah,
Very
that's
good
good advice from Kacey. And yeah, so when they call you and say it's available, get it right away because, as you know, there's a lot of other people who are also late, and they might just sell it to somebody else.
Yeah, everybody on my Sunday show ended up their car got sold to somebody else because they weren't there the day that Tesla called them, except for me, obviously, because I was waiting on my car. It did a loop of Alabama for a while. But yeah, so each of them got the call. It was like, oh, I'm out of town. Okay, that's okay. And then their car was gone, and they had to wait another month to get their car. So be ready to drop everything to go pick it up.
Exactly.
Right.
Be ready.
Or if they offer to drop in your driveway, just accept.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Casey's got our next story, and it's one about a CCS adapter that many people have been waiting for.
Absolutely. Let me find there it is. So the Tesla CCS adapter in South Korea, we touched on it last week, and it's official now. Tesla Charging, which is an official Tesla account, was tweeting that it is for sale now in South Korea, and they said it is coming in the future soon to North America. I don't know if that's a Tesla soon or an Elon soon. Both are really long. And
but it is good to hear because we weren't sure about a North American model. Were they?
That's right.
Because they made no reference to whether or not it would be the same or if it would work in North America. But at least now we know that that's their intent.
Exactly. So hopefully by the time it comes to North America, it works on all the Teslas and not just Model 3 and Model Y. But that is the current requirement. You have to have the right software, and you have to obviously buy the adapter. But it is half the price of the CHAdeMO adapter.
Which is good too. Yeah.
Yeah. And the CHAdeMO adapter is no longer listed as not just out of stock, not coming soon, not available, not waiting for restock. It's gone from the Tesla website. So if you go into your app or go to the Tesla website, you cannot buy it.
So mine's a collector's edition now, huh?
There you go.
Correct.
There you go.
You can add it to your list of adapters.
Quick poll out of the 3 of us. Is anyone waiting for this CCS adapter?
Nope.
I'm not.
I probably will use it twice, but I do want it for those places where I am off the network or the network is busy. But as we heard on the earnings call, they're going to 3x it, so I might never use it.
Yeah, so we, like you said, Kacey, we touched on this last week, and a friend of mine listened to the show and talked to me. I don't want to dox him, so I'll just give his screen name, Groovy Gravy. He said he absolutely wants one of these, and shout out to Groovy if you're out there. He has a particular drive that he does on a few times a year, and there are CCS stations right now available, but not Tesla Superchargers. And so having that adapter would make that drive just a whole lot easier for him. And so, yeah, there are, like I said, there are some use cases where it's great. I don't think I'm going to need it, though.
Right.
Yeah.
It looks like this for those who don't remember last week.
That's right. It's certainly a much more compact design than what the CHAdeMO was.
Right.
It just plugs into the existing Tesla charger in the back of your car and gives you that extra large plug-in spot for the CCS. So and doesn't have the extra dangling cord that's CHAdeMO had. So I think it's a much better looking and better designed And I also understand that based on some material that was obtained for the South Korean one, there is some talk that it's going to be over 50 kilowatts in charging. This could be 100 kilowatts or 125. So
125 for sure, maybe 150.
That's not for sure, but
Right.
that's what the tea leaves are showing as people try to read between the lines.
Right, and so for our European viewers, this is not exciting, but for our South Korean, North American, and Japanese viewers, absolutely, we're looking forward to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So very, very cool that is on the way, and we'll have to see what the meaning of soon is, but that's
2 weeks.
That's what we have at this point. Next, some very exciting news about some what's on Patrick's T-shirt tonight. The CyberTruck was spotted at a testing facility in California, doing some turns and driving, and it was ascertained through a long-distance lens, and this was a really long-distance lens, that the truck itself was exhibiting the features of rear-wheel steering on this particular model, and people could actually pick out that it had side view mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there were some people that were expressing disappointment about the Cybertruck showing up with side view mirrors, because at this point, we've only seen the model that has cameras instead of mirrors itself. Mm-hmm. So there were a few people complaining about don't like the side view mirrors. And Elon actually chose one of those and replied back to it to indicate that, unfortunately, it is required by law at this point, and that is all there is to it. But another piece of information he disclosed was that they've designed the mirrors to be easily removable by the owners. Now, this is really going to get him in good with the people that don't like him in the transportation industry. But that would indicate that if someone could take off their mirrors, I'm wondering if they're indicating that means that there are cameras behind the mirrors, because you wouldn't take away a person's ability to view the side mirrors without being able to do it somehow. So possibly this vehicle may have both options, the mirror, and if you remove it, maybe that activates the camera side view mirrors.
Or the cameras could be there all the time.
All the time, yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True.
And then the mirrors meet the legal requirement.
Audi or Jaguar, yeah.
Right.
And then of course, Cybertruck.
Better sense. Yeah.
Cybertruck already has a digital rearview mirror, much like the optional one in the Bolt and some Cadillacs. So it should be very straightforward for them to add 2 more camera views.
Right, right. Mm-hmm. So, of course, the Cybertruck comes with it's a 17-inch screen, I believe, on the inside. So it's got a little more room for those side mirrors to appear somewhere on that screen, I would think. Do you guys think that they would add camera or screens to the doors themselves, so you'd be looking at a monitor where the screen, the mirror typically would sit, or do you think that's
how
too
Audi
much?
and Aptera did it, and I do like that method. As long as it's not looking over to the center of the car to look left, or in America, and then elsewhere to the center of the car to look right would be also weird for them.
Because I believe we have not seen a mock-up of this from Tesla themselves for any vehicle as of yet. So where those side view mirrors are going to be displayed is up for grabs at this point. We really don't know.
And I think Audi is the same way. It actually ships with the mirror caps on, and then you can take them off. Or if they get damaged, you can just choose not to replace them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
the Aptera
bought their vehicle with it and went out to it with a bat and went smash, smash. Oh, these don't work anymore.
Right, and then the Aptera
I may as well take them off. Yeah.
Exactly. The Aptera is technically a motorcycle, so it's exempt. Yeah, Jeep owners do it all the time. You're right, because they got to be able to fit through the trails.
So
Aptera
legally initially had
one.
mirrors.
The initial Aptera did have mirrors, but the current design is cameras only.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it was great to see that someone spotted the truck. And again, in the quarterly earnings call today, There was some talk about Cybertruck testing. Somebody wanted to see the Cybertruck for the modifications that have made to the vehicle, and they skillfully sidestepped that question and basically said the vehicle will be produced in late next year, and that was the production of the vehicle starts then, and that was basically the answer. So there was no early unveiling of the newer Cybertruck and its modifications. Although they did touch on a few things that it had, like the steering, and of course some smaller internal features.
I think that's a case of you go first, because you've got all the competitors launching their trucks, and it's a lot harder for them to add it in the middle of the model year based on the way they run than it is for them to put their truck out and Tesla go, oh, by the way, we've got all this stuff that costs extra or that isn't even available on the competition.
Right. Yeah. And that's another point, is that the Tesla website has been updated. If you're now ordering a Cybertruck, there's a modification to it that there's no price, there's no ability to lock in options or pick a type. It's just I'd like to put down $100 on a Cybertruck, and that's the only thing you get to choose.
Which is too bad, because you were able to lock in the FSD price, and as I mentioned earlier, they might be changing it. You're we say it all the time on this show. If you see something you like, don't hesitate, because things could change tomorrow. Here's a perfect example. They changed.
Once you get that reservation number, you're locked in, and whatever you've ordered it will be honored by Tesla. But you're right. If you wait and sit on the sidelines, things could change overnight, and you may miss the chance that you wanted. So if you're happy with it, make that choice. Make that jump right at that point.
Yep.
Very good. Well, let's go to shout-outs, and let's start with Patrick tonight. Anything is happening in your world, Patrick, that you wanted to share?
Yeah. So I blog at carswithcores.net. And my current article is titled "Hoverboards Don't Hover. Sea Monkeys Aren't Monkeys. Tesla's full self-driving doesn't fully self-drive, and it doesn't matter." So, I think all the regulators who are going after Tesla should read it so they understand what's what, and what the real goal here is, and how that's being achieved safely, and yet still getting to the goal. Right now, if you look at how many people die every year in auto accidents, it's a horrible number. And the best crash is no crash. And that's what this gets us to. So anytime that they are trying to slow that down through ways to allow others to catch up or whatever, and not from real safety reasons, they are effectively killing people. So it's a real problem, and I'm glad that there are many companies working on it, and it can't get here soon enough. Whether that's Tesla or anybody else, that'll be a great day where cars can safely drive themselves. So that's at carswithcores.net, and as always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. Thanks.
Words of wisdom tonight: sea monkeys are not monkeys. So just remember that. Just remember that.
Yeah, you learned something.
Fantastic title, as always, Patrick. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up on the show, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because it isn't getting any cheaper. It's free, so you can't lose there. But Kacey, what do you got going on? I know you got some videos happening that you just released.
I sure do. Absolutely. So for those folks who have a 99 safety score or higher, if you got it higher, then you might have just got a download to your car very recently. But if you have a 99 on Friday, an Elon Friday, we're going to have a download of the next version of FSD. Tesla
which
FSD,
of course means Tuesday, right?
which means hopefully Saturday morning, assuming that there's no more glitches in the delivery. But that will be FSD version 10.3. But over on my channel, youtube.com/KCGreen, I've got a trio of videos for you. As the one that Mark talked about with my wife was recording while we were live streaming our first day with FSD. Then I recently put out a trip just to Best Buy to see how it behaved. And in about 15 minutes, there's a video coming up again on youtube.com/KCGreen where I spend the entire morning in the rain with FSD driving across Northern Virginia in various conditions. And the car does some incredible things. So I'd appreciate it if you check that out in 15 minutes.
Very good. We've got the watch on you, Kacey. So we'll be watching for that drop. Thank you very much. And we would like to thank you out there for watching this evening. Again, give us that thumbs up if you haven't done it already. And tune in next week. And together we will find out what's happening in the Tesla life. Good night, everybody. Have yourselves a great week.
Stay positive. Test negative.
Thanks, Lee Moon, for this music.